People want to know why we do what we do.
They want to know where we're going.
We're two guys with big hearts.
We love telling a good story.
And we're damn good at it.
We're local realtors who love serving others.
We are relationship-based and data-driven.
We love showcasing our corner of the world.
And we do it in style.
We are the local voice in the community.
It's time to turn on the mics.
And let's get to the show! Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show today. We are very excited to be here in the Betty D studio with our guest today, who is definitely somebody that you should know. She is not only a badass as a person, but she is crushing it when it comes to the wedding and event planning game. Buckle up, get ready for the ride, but before we start, let's hear a word from our sponsor here at Bellworks.
All right, friends, we are excited to showcase one of our sponsors, Bellworks, Chicagoland, and Hoffman Estates. Bellworks is new to the Chicago area, but the vision has been around since 2008 in New Jersey. We decided to set up our office and studio here at Bellworks because the energy within the building is off the charts. Working around other businesses and entrepreneurs in this modern space is unlike any other place available here in the northwest suburbs of Chicago. From the unique design to the vibe of being around other businesses and entrepreneurs, we were hooked from the first time we walked through the doors. The vision behind the Bellworks model is special, and in our opinion, the future of how we will work, live, and play. They coined the term metroverb, metropolis and suburbia. My friends, it is the best of both worlds, a city vibe, but right here in the suburbs of Chicago. Bellworks is a destination for business, culture, and life unlike any other in our area, with world-class offices, one-of-a-kind retail space, delicious dining options, awesome event spaces, and much more. The build-out is still in the beginning stages, but trust us when we say that it is a special place. Bellworks is unique in that it is a special place for any size business. Businesses have the opportunity to grow without ever having to leave Bellworks. They can start with a private office within a collaborative co-working environment called CoLab. When they grow to where they need more space, they can get a private built-out spec suite within the ready-to-wear suites. And if the business keeps growing, they can have a suite built up on the 3rd and 4th floors. The building is truly meant to create a community to help businesses thrive, grow, and be successful. The building is beginning to come alive and growing with tenants every single day. We are having a blast here at Bellworks and have enjoyed our new routines from working out in the Fit Lab gym that is available on the lower level to our coffee and lunch from Fairgrounds in the square. Bellworks is bringing urban cool, urban comfort, and urban convenience to the suburbs. To learn more about Bellworks, visit www.bellworks.com or reach out to us. We would love to connect you with them. All right, guys, you got to come check us out at Bellworks. You got free Wi-Fi, sit in the square, hang out, grab coffee, say hi to Mike, Monica, or myself, and enjoy the space. But we're excited to be here today inside Betty D's studio with a friend and somebody that's going to keep you highly entertained because she's already been checking Mike and myself since the moment she walked in the door. My friends, we're here today with Kayleigh Burnitz. She is the founder of Event Daydreaming, and she's a passionate, driven business owner who doesn't take any shit, as Mike kind of said a little bit earlier. She's a event planner, but for today's show, we're going to talk about and dive deep into wedding planning and what it takes to be a great wedding planner. And wedding season's coming up, so if you have any weddings coming up or have something on the horizon, make sure you continue watching. But for now, welcome, Kayleigh.
Thank you. It's good to be here. I'm excited.
Yeah, so are we.
Very happy to have you on the show. But before we get rolling with the interview, we always like to try to pair our guest with a local beer. And today is like no different. We have picked a local beer, and we chose one that we thought was great for you. It's called Spiteful Brewing. It's out of Chicago, obviously. Not only because it's awesome brews, which it does have a lot of good brews. I could name 3 or 4 that are part of my regular rotation when I go to Binny's. But because you will soon find out that spite, which is the desire to hurt, annoy, or offend somebody, is often regarded in a negative way. But the actions of one who uses spite might actually have the opposite reaction on the receiving end. It can be a driving force for somebody who wants to turn that act of spite onto them into something that is beautiful and create something new. The beer you have chosen today is working for the weekend. This works from 2 different angles. When you are someone who is attending an event, such as a wedding, you work all week, you wait, you slave through the work week to make sure you finally get to that weekend to have that awesome event.
Then you party.
Yeah, for sure. But on the other end, as you will find out today, there are event planners, hosts that are working feverishly to make sure that their guests have an awesome experience. Our guest today is just another example of that. So let's sit back and enjoy our drinks and let the master explain how she does it all.
All right. Cheers.
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 Kayleigh, thank you for being on the show. I'm really excited to hear about this.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah. So before we start diving deep into the wedding planning stuff, just tell our audience a little bit about who you are.
Yeah, so I'm Kayleigh Burnitz, born and raised in Hoffman Estates. I live in Schaumburg right now. I also have a full-time job, and I started event Daydreaming about 3 years ago almost, and it's been a journey since. So
It's a beautiful thing. What made you get started, and why did you want to create event Daydreaming?
yeah, absolutely. So my whole life, I kind of struggled to feel like I was good enough or feel like I was worth it or could do something on my own. So I worked for somebody else for 2.5 years doing day of coordination in Chicago, and I just kept thinking to myself, why am I not doing this on my own? You know, I'm passionate. I can do this. I've learned all that I could, and so that's kind of how it started.
Okay, and so for people who don't know or aren't familiar with event Daydreaming, explain to us exactly what it is you offer and kind of what services.
Yeah, absolutely. So I offer day of coordination, month of services, and full service planning. So if you are a couple that just, has everything under control pretty much, but wants to relax on the day of, that's where I can come in and do some day of coordination. If you feel like, the couple months leading up to the wedding are super stressful and you're like, okay, now what do I do? That's where I can come in with my month of service. Or if you don't even know where to start, you don't know what venues to look at, florists, DJs, any of that, then full service would probably be best for you.
I have a feeling like you talk to these couples and you explain those three different. You're like, hey, I can do full service. I'm going to do, from beginning to end, I'm going to make everything work well. Or I can do the month of, or I can do the day of. And they're like, oh, we just need the day of.
Oh, 100%. So many couples are coming to me now saying, it's, a
Once
couple
they
months
realize
before.
how hard of so many details that go into a wedding,
Right.
they're like, yeah, maybe we need some help.
It's
Is that
almost
what
like they
happens?
book all their vendors, it gets closer, and then it's like a freeze. Like, okay, what am I supposed to be doing now? So that's where I can kind of come in and meet them. So I like to meet the couples where they're at in their planning process.
Yeah, it's super smart. And I would think some people would be like, oh yeah, we could do it. But then life gets in the way, right? Work gets busy, extra hours. If you have a family already, things happen. So to have you come in later in the process, I would think could be super helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is a benefit to offering my 3 different packages, and I can also offer kind of just like a la carte kind of selection. So like I said, meeting the couple where they're at.
Yeah, it's like if you rent a car and they ask you if you want the insurance. And you're like, no, I don't need the insurance. I don't need insurance. And then you get in a car accident the next day.
Right.
Man, I should have bought
sounds
that
like there's
insurance.
a story there.
So,
for
yeah,
another
sounds like
day.
that's happened before.
A couple of times. Yeah, I've paid for quite a few scratches on some rental cars. So, all right. So, for someone who's not as savvy, I'm very savvy in wedding planning.
Are you saying I'm not savvy?
No. No, I'm not.
Mike's savvy at everything. Do you guys know that
You're
out
gonna
there?
find out.
Yeah, Mike's savvy at anything. You need him to be
Just
savvy.
ask me.
Savvy at it.
I'll tell you. I'm savvy. Yeah. No, for people out there that aren't as engaged in the wedding process and don't understand, give us some examples of really what the day of coordination would be or month of. If you were trying to sell somebody on it, what are some key things?
Yeah, absolutely. I would, day of coordination is my most popular package, and I often say to my couples, well, who are you going to have call the transportation when they're late, or if the cake is not on time, or the DJ needs to know where to set up? Are you going to stop hair and makeup and go tell them where to go?
Yeah.
So I often use that reference, and it
That
just kind
sounds
of
like
clicks with them.
Stressful bloodbath.
Oh, right.
That sounds like.
Right. So I'm like, either you can ask your parents to do it and stress them out, or, I can be there and just be the point person for all of it.
Yeah. All right, Kayleigh, we'll continue to dive in and talk about the wedding stuff and the different tiers. But I couldn't help but you talked about struggle. You talked about going through things and fighting through things to be able to get to where you're at, which, for one, I respect that transparency. I think more people need to be like that. I think we could help each other get along because life sucks for a lot of us, right? But if you push through it like you have, you learn something along the way. But what advice would you have for young up-and-comers that are coming up and that are maybe struggling in their own way?
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that question, and it feels weird answering it because I feel like sometimes I'm still in that of like figuring it out as a young professional business owner. But I really feel like just not giving up and always sticking to that plan or that dream that you had once. I always thought I would be in the industry somehow, but when you tell your parents and that generation you're going to school for event planning, they're so confused. They're like, well, what does that mean? What does that entail? So I think just sticking to it and learning all you can from your resources and internships and things like that to really overcome that fear and just kind of own it and become yourself in the process as well.
Yeah. Would you say it's easy to overcome your fear?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, so when you started out your career, you were working downtown, you were doing event planning. Something had to be the spark or, the origin story that made you want to go out and create event daydreaming, right? So, how do you do that? What was that origin story? What made you just say, I'm going to go out on my own?
Yeah, absolutely. So I worked at a venue before that for maybe 6 months out of college, or right out of college. And long story kind of short, I was told that I was really pretty, really nice, but not cut out to do weddings. So essentially I was let go from that position, and you're right out of college. You're thinking that this is what you went to school for.
Yeah.
This
It's
is
like
your
a Michael
passion.
Jordan story.
Yeah. Well, that would be cool, but
No.
not there yet.
You
but.
got the door shut in your face, and
Yeah.
you worked harder.
Yeah, and a lot of times it was just, and it was in an email, so I still have the email.
It's even worse.
Right, and just
First of all, who writes that?
right, and they used the wrong form of your. So I was like, "You're really pretty." I was like, I can't even read this.
All you should have done is
you are not good at spelling.
Yeah.
just wrote back. That's all I would have done. Replied and did the correct your.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So that was a crushing moment. The most.
The correct your, and then thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Have a good day.
Next,
I'm going to frame this in my office when I'm a big somebody and look at it all
right.
the time.
But at that moment, I didn't think, I just didn't think I was good enough. I wasn't where I thought I would be. I just got let go from a job. I went 4 years in college, and then you're told you're not good enough. You're pretty, you're nice, but hey, you're, not cut out.
What was your initial reaction when that happened?
Cried. Just cried.
Yeah. I mean, failure is not easy at any age.
It's more than
at
failure.
any
That's
time.
like a kind of like a smack in the face. That's not
It
very
is.
professional
Right.
for that woman.
Right.
Period.
Right.
But,
It's not a good feeling.
she's not
and-
coming on the Love Local podcast. Just saying. No, she's not.
But
doing
most
it.
people could just tuck it in, pack it up, and go home or whatever.
Yeah.
And the fact that you decided not to,
Right.
that you doubled down and said, you know what, I'm going to do this. I'm going to
Right.
figure this out. I'm going to, I want to be a young entrepreneur, and I'm going to stumble, and I'm going to find out how to do my own. That takes a lot of courage.
Thank you.
sure.
I mean,
does.
to
Yeah.
flip the switch. I think many people face what you face. Unfortunately, people face that. But I think a lot of them just crumble.
Right.
Not a lot of them persevere.
I did crumble, and it was okay. I hit almost in a sense rock bottom, not because I was crazy or anything else, but because of the situation. I needed to figure out who I was and who I could become.
Did it make you question your path?
Oh, absolutely. I was like, okay, now what am I going to do? So I nannied for a little bit and tried to figure it out, and had an opportunity to work for somebody else. And that's when I kept, my head up. She really inspired me. And so every horrible person you come encounter with, there's 10,000 other great ones.
Yeah,
So,
totally. How did she inspire you?
so just being patient and teaching me from the very start of what it took to be a coordinator. She was very organized, very detailed, and just showed me what needed to be done for a successful wedding in Chicago. If you could do a wedding in Chicago, you could do it a lot of other places in the suburbs. So.
I could only imagine.
Yeah, with
Well,
transportation and everything else, it's crazy. So.
yeah. Do you see yourself doing weddings down in Chicago now?
Yeah, I do some in Chicago, but I love doing the suburb wedding.
You
just
go
love-
everywhere, don't you?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. I did South Carolina, Colorado. I booked in Cancun. So
Those must be
pretty-
the real hard ones to
What I
accept.
love about your
Yeah, it's
business,
hard.
we follow you on social media.
Oh, thank
Like,
you.
You better like our stuff. That's all I'm saying, bro. Like, come on.
Yeah, I don't think you've been liking it. So
I mean, apparently not enough, but
Yeah,
I
come
will.
on.
Okay, I will start. I will literally like thumbs up on
yes,
everything I see
please,
from here on out.
please.
I love about your business. You're 2 years in, but you're a referral-based business. So that means you have to give a high level of service for people to share and know who you are and that type of
Yeah.
stuff, which says a lot.
And if you think about it, this is the couple's biggest day of their lives,
Totally.
and I get to be a part of it almost every weekend. I get to be a part of somebody's biggest day of their life. So
Totally.
that's what keeps the passion alive.
How many weddings have you done total?
Oh, on my own, 80 or 90.
That's insane.
Yeah.
In that short of time frame, I go back to like, you must kick butt at your job.
I mean, I try, and I'm learning to add people to my team and kind of just figure it out from there. I don't know what it's like. I didn't know what it's like to own a business, but here I am as a young professional, 26 years old, owning a business, and you just kind of got to figure it out. Got kicked off of my dad's taxes this year, so I was like, all right, I got to
Gotta
figure
do
this out
something.
for real.
Yeah, you don't want to know what Mike and I were doing at 26.
I don't,
It's-
yeah, I think,
I
I
don't
don't
It's a different
remember.
show.
Yeah, I remember what I was doing at 26.
That's about
For
right.
sure. All right, so we talk about the different. You can do the day of, you can do the month
Sure.
of, whatever. I'm just envisioning like, we planned our own wedding. We didn't have a wedding planner, but it's got to be really costly, right? Like
Right.
it's got to be expensive. So like in terms of like pricing, how does that go? How does that look? A ballpark? You know, if people are trying to get into this, what is the most value that they get out of it?
Yeah, absolutely. So day of coordination starts at around 1,000, typically around 1,500, just depending on the services. I learned my value too early on that, this is a lot of work.
Oh, yeah.
So that's, what I tell my couples too. I remind them of everything that I'm going to take on and, why it's worth the investment.
That actually doesn't sound that bad. $1,000 to make sure that you don't have to worry about the details of your own wedding.
Right.
Like, if somebody that like operates weddings all the time, I think that's pretty.
Compared to
surprising.
everything you're
Yeah.
already paying, it's kind of like,
Yeah.
why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you do it?
Right,
Yeah.
and I can charge that because I'm a small business, and if you go to a bigger company, you're not going to know who you're working with, whereas you're either working with me or my business partner, which is my sister, but I like to call her my janitor, so.
Yeah. It's about right.
She told me to mention her, so.
Yeah, you got her
Shout-
back.
shout out.
Check. Nothing but love.
So when did your
Janitor.
sister join? Since she wanted to shout out, when did she join the group? And is she older or younger?
Yeah, she's older, so,
So you're
I'm
bossing
her
around?
boss,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am her boss, so she
I
reports
coulda
to
guessed
me.
That. I could have guessed that.
Why?
That you were the younger one. By the whole gender comment, like there was resentment from like a younger age or something there.
This is
right?
what she gets.
I mean, I have two older sisters. I could try to hire them. They wouldn't listen to me.
Right,
It wouldn't.
right.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
She was always
There
perfect.
would always be the boss. For
Always
sure.
perfect. Has her master's degree, but now she's working for me.
Yeah.
So
There you go.
That's awesome. I think that is perfect. In terms of like the price range for a day of coordinator, I just know the amount of work that it takes.
Sure.
Like I did not handle a lot of that at my own wedding, but like, my uncle, my father-in-law, my father, everyone's asking me like, how much is this person paid? And did it get paid? And what is this?
Ask
And what is
my
that?
fiance.
Yeah, and it's just like, it's a lot of like, that day should be just for those two people to not have to worry about anything.
Absolutely.
And even though I didn't do a lot of work, everyone was asking me a lot of questions that like,
Right.
took me away from the moment.
Right, and
Yeah.
I feel like that happens a lot with the groom too, because my initial conversations are with the brides usually. Sometimes the grooms get dragged into the conversation, but I just let the bride know too that I'll be watching over the guys, making sure. Sometimes I ask if they want me to give the rings to the ring bearer or the best man, and that's always a tough decision.
Carrie, where was she at our wedding? That's all I want to know to watch over my friends.
Right?
we could have paid like extra for that service. It would have probably been healthy.
Absolutely. We know that the value that you bring is obviously making things go seamless. So, like, explain to people out there, what does that look like? Give us a story of how it just went so well, and showed your value and you're so proud of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate that question so much because I am always asked what went wrong. What was a time you had a bridezilla or a time where things were just terrible? And it's like, that happens, but, I haven't had a wedding that was just so terrible, so I appreciate this question so much. And there was this one couple that got married in St. Charles, and they just really appreciated everything that I did. She kept asking me, like, do you want to have a drink with us? I'm like, I'm working here, like, I can help. And just appreciated me through the whole process. They tipped me ahead of time. They ended up tipping me again before I left. And
maybe they just forgot.
Yeah.
They were they had such a good time.
So drunk, they just, here.
Did we pay you yet?
No. Just kidding.
I like your style. I like it.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so that's when something went really well, obviously. When you talk to your clients, if we were to call some of your clients, what would be like one or two things they would just have to say about you?
Yeah,
Kayleigh is...
I feel that they would probably say that I was inclusive and that I was timely. I feel that I'm always texting or emailing, calling brides, making sure we're in that communication so that they know that I'm available. So.
Cool. The serious question, you ever had to deal with a wedding crasher?
Once, and I've been a wedding crasher once.
You've been it? I want to hear that. I want to hear that story first.
Being a wedding crasher, I was at my cousin's wedding. I was coordinating as well. Kind of off duty by then.
So you know what other wedding crashers look like.
Yeah, just your average wedding crasher here. So, and my sister-in-law and myself went into the next room at the venue. And we went into the photo booth, took pictures. Nobody noticed us. We signed their guest book. And
did you sign it as you or somebody else?
We said K and D.
Okay, yeah.
We just
because I would never put my real name. I'd be too
right.
nervous.
Oh no. Yeah. That would have been scary.
I'd put Jason Stollard.
Yeah, we should have, right? So we got some appetizers, grabbed a drink at the bar, and then went back to our wedding.
Did you say hi to the groom or the bride?
No, that was a little nerve-wracking. And they're so intrigued in their day, spending time with their guests, relaxing finally, that this is terrible. I can't believe I did this, but
it was a little fun, right?
It was so fun.
Yeah. Did you get any weird looks like Aunt Susie's?
A little bit. And my sister-in-law knew someone from high school. She's like, we got to go. I'm like, we're out.
Oh, yeah, totally.
I have never crashed a wedding.
Yeah,
no?
I haven't personally, but I had two friends that are on the crazier side that we were early 20s. It was Wedding Crasher, like the movie came out. So they made it a thing to go to like a wedding a month and like hit the dance floor though.
A wedding a month?
Like,
how do you even find a wedding a month?
It was Vegas, so
Okay.
think of it there. But they would go maybe every other month, whatever it was. For like there was a 6-month period, but they got in a lot of trouble. Like one was beat up numerous times. Like there was a lot there, but it was Las Vegas.
I would have to ask
so
myself, is it worth it after the first time you got beat up?
If you met these guys,
I guess.
You're getting some appetizers and some drinks.
They did it for the dance floor to see how long they could do it. Like I think that was their intention.
I can see some value in stepping it up every time. Like, okay, well now you got to hug the bride and say congratulations to the groom.
Yeah.
Like,
kind of like a challenge every time.
Yeah, and the free booze. The dance floor and the free booze was the reason they did it. Like it was the art of the journey, I think, for them.
Right.
So that dealing with a wedding crasher would be stressful. Anything else in your field that are any stories that you have that have led to stress that you've led through?
Yeah, I think the whole thing in general is stressful, but I've been told a lot that I have a calm demeanor, so I kind of just, like, it doesn't faze me anymore. The craziest thing could happen. I've seen people pass out from it being too hot, ambulance coming, and I've just seen random stuff, having to pick a new venue the same day I've had to kind of go through because there was tornado weather.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, it's been crazy.
That seems like so stress-ridden. Oh, my God.
No.
In terms of, like, another thing that goes wrong is obviously, like, wedding cake stories.
Yes.
Are there things, I just envision, like, from the movies where somebody, like, goes to walk out and they smash the cake, they trip, or, like, something weird like that? Are there stories around that type of stuff?
Yeah, but I'm always terrified when I have to carry the cake. I'm like, what? Like, of all things, like, maybe somebody else could carry the cake in, like God forbid I trip or
That's a lot of
anything
pressure.
else. But there was a time I was working a wedding in Wisconsin actually, and the cake didn't get delivered when the cake cutting was supposed to be. Of course, that's a huge problem, and that comes down on me. So it was like a 10-minute time frame I had. I was calling Costco. I was like, I need to get a cake here. Like, no matter what it looks like, as long as I can try and get a cake here, we might be okay.
Please tell me
my
it was
gosh.
like an Elmo cake or something. We've got a cake. We'll be there in 5 minutes.
Yes.
It's just like Elmo's face.
Well, the cake ended up getting delivered right then and there. We unboxed it, and then they got introduced from the bridal party introductions, and they had to cut the cake. So thank God we got the cake there, but just imagining not having it there, vendors are late or things like that happen. So yeah, that's stressful.
Yeah, totally. And I couldn't even think about imagining like working through that on your wedding day. Like if you didn't have somebody there to handle
Yeah,
that.
the
Like,
bride would have been in tears,
Oh my
and I
gosh,
try
yeah.
not to even tell the couples what goes off or what's going
until
on.
they see their Elmo cake, be like,
I thought that's what you ordered.
Congratulations, Billy. You're a man. Or
Right.
just make a
Speaking
bar
of
mitzvah
Elmo
cake.
cakes and different ideas, what do you say to brides and grooms with like different creative, non-traditional ideas?
Yeah, I mean, one time I did a wedding that was like, not a wedding, a rehearsal dinner that was all superhero theme, and I'm like, I don't know anything about superheroes.
Was it a
but
6-year-old getting married? I'm confused. What's happening?
Sounds like my kids. Yeah.
No, but that was just kind of the theme of the rehearsal. I was like, all right, I got to figure this
Did
out.
they dress up like super?
No,
Oh.
no. But yeah, I think it's just stuff like that. And each couple is very unique and very different. So, I just stay unbiased and it's their day. I'll have mine one day, hopefully. And, but their day, I want it to be exactly how they want it. So a lot of times couples or brides specifically ask me, can we do it like this? Can we have the cake cutting then? I'm like, well, yeah, it's
your
your
day.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah, like absolutely. I'll always give my advice and what I think is best and tell them, the process of why I would have it there, and they either decide for it or against it. So
Cool. Good to know. What are some wedding planner like tips if somebody's out there right now that is looking to get married or thinking about it and they want some tips to kind of get off the ground? What would those tips be?
yeah, I think instead of looking at the big picture all the time, break it down into the months. We're 6 months out. We're 5 months out.
That's
This
smart,
is when I
yeah.
have to get my dress. This is when the guys need their tuxes or, hair and makeup. I need to do a trial. It's all the little details that add up. So if you're so focused on all the little details leading up, there's no way the day can't go absolutely perfect. Of course, there's going to be things coming up. It's an event, but it's kind of it's how you pivot from those two.
And then when something does come up and it goes bad,
You cry? No.
do you always just turn it around and be like, that's good luck? Like, for example, it's raining. Like, I've heard if it rains on your wedding day, that means you're going to have great luck. Or,
You know what? My phase to my couples is, well, you're going to be married regardless. No matter what, you're going to be married at the end of the day. So if there's something small that goes wrong or something's out of place, like, why did you have this day? Like, it was to get married.
yeah.
So
I always feel they just like make crap up. Like, if something bad happens, like someone drops a cake, they're like, oh, that means you're going to have a lot of kids. Or,
yeah,
whatever.
right.
Hey, they just make
Just
up.
turn it positive real quick.
Because no
Well,
one
maybe
can
I'll
tell-
hire you to start thinking of
I could
those
come up with a
things.
lot of
He's
them.
for hire too. He's for
No
hire.
one wants to look at the bride and be
He's
like, hey, it's going to rain on your wedding. That just means you had shitty weather. Like,
Yeah.
no one ever wants to say that. They always turn it into like, oh,
Yeah.
30 years, good luck. Or
Right,
whatever.
and
Yeah.
those brides that are so set on having their ceremony outside,
Yep.
a piece of me just like breaks. Like, I just want them to have that, but I'm like, I hate to be like the bad guy, but there's a possibility, and we need to have a backup plan for that. If it rains, if it snows, anything else, You never know in Chicago.
No,
That is
you
true.
never know. At the end of the day, like your wedding day goes by so quick. There's a
So
lot of
fast.
work. That's
Yeah.
how I remember. There's a lot of work leading up to it, even though I would
Right.
be lying if I said I did a lot of that. And then it goes by so quick, and then you're married.
Right.
you
Brides
know?
get depressed after the planning process. They're like,
Really?
I just
Yeah.
spent a year, 2 years planning, especially with COVID. They spent years planning this and postponed how many times, and then they're sad
Talk
after.
about high stress.
Oh, I know,
Yeah,
right?
Totally.
I just remember my wife had like a Google Calendar, a Google Doc. It was like everything was laid out. And even now to this day, though, we have like the next 40 days of meals planned out on a Google Doc, and she copies the, like she just plans to the T. So I could imagine somebody having like not fear of missing out, but like the after effect.
Right.
If they plan this whole event happens and then the day's over, they got to plan something else.
Usually not just this like last year or last 2 years that you're planning it. It's like you've been thinking about this your whole life,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like,
Especially you just know what you want sometimes, and your whole life you dream of this day. Like it's a big day that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, totally is.
There's a saying like, if you want to buy a car, you never buy a mechanic's car, right? Like you never, because they don't want to work on their own car. So like on your personal time, do you ever want to go to a wedding? Like if you get a wedding invitation from a friend, are you like, oh,
Are you asking her to go crash a wedding tonight?
if you want to?
I mean,
it's Friday. Do you work tonight?
We can
'Cause
keep
can
drinking
go.
wine and go. I'm down.
but I
I
mean,
don't have a wedding this weekend, so.
When you get an invitation, is there just like,
No, it's an overwhelming sense of like excitement. It's how can I help them with
That's
their
awesome.
day?
Yeah.
You know, I was in 5 weddings last year, so I'm at that age where my friends are getting married and stuff. I'm almost offended if they don't ask me, you know?
Yeah, totally.
that is true. Or if they have another wedding planner, you're just looking at them side-eyed the whole time.
Well, usually it's like, it's the question, do you want to be in my wedding or do you want to plan it? Like, how is this going to work? I'm like, well, whatever you want,
Yeah,
kind of
totally.
thing.
But it's
so.
kind of hard to be in the wedding and
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's
run
your
it, right?
friends.
Right.
Especially if you're in a bridesmaid dress, you're like, hold on a second. This
Hold
guy's
on.
gotta
Well,
go.
let me set down
Have
my
one
wine.
eyelash
Yeah.
on and
So you must have an awesome network of vendors.
yeah, absolutely.
Like that's the key, right? I mean, like you can get a hold of these people, you can get them to do things that I could call up and they're not going to
yeah,
respect
they'd be
me.
like, yeah, F you, Mike.
So, I mean, that's usually what happens when I call people. That's absolutely
I
true.
like you, Kayleigh. Just give it to them straight, right to the
Yeah.
chin. So I love this because you could tell like when somebody's passionate about what they
Guess
do,
I need
it
more
comes
beer.
off. It comes off in everything that they do. And when you're talking about this, and not just through today, but leading up to this, you get to see the passion that you have for not only running weddings, but it's about how you're making people feel. I feel like you truly care about that.
Absolutely.
What's the favorite part about your job?
That's a tough one. I think it's seeing the event or the wedding come together. It's that moment when the couple, we do a thing called a room reveal where the couple finally gets to see the room. It's just the two of them usually, and their faces are priceless. There's tears that, that's the moment that
Tears
they
of
can.
joy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, hopefully.
Let's clarify that.
Yeah, it's a
Tears-
different story.
Tears of joy. Yeah.
I
But
feel like it's a TLC show. They're like, move the bus, and
Yeah.
then they show them the room. Is that like a big?
it's kind of like that. It's like the doors are shut, the photographer, videographer are in there, the DJ might play their favorite song, and then they finally get to see it come together, and that's the moment I feel that the couple can truly relax and enjoy and take it in.
Totally.
Stress, get your pictures done, everything else, and then
Take it in because
Yeah.
there's after you get married, it's hard. Marriage is hard. Period. You're working through a lot, so take that moment in and embrace it. Like,
Right.
I would think like we're here. Let's do this. Let's relax and drink wine or whatever you're into.
yeah,
But-
wine for sure.
So an obvious question that we need to ask, obviously, double obvious.
I'm scared.
Yeah, no. So obviously, pandemic happened. I think this is a topic for everybody. So you probably did a lot of like local, small backyard things, right?
Yeah.
Now that it's done, not that it's done, but now that it's kind of eased up a little bit, is it just like
It's just
everybody's
full-
cramming? Is it hard to get?
Absolutely. It's they'll take a wedding on a Thursday night. I'm like, huh, I watch my shows on Thursday night. Come on. No. But
So you are seeing a lot of non-traditional. type
yes,
things,
it's
right?
kind of, there are no rules right now. Anything goes. If people don't feel comfortable, they're still wearing masks or
Totally,
whatever
yeah.
else. I did backyard weddings, and they might do a bigger wedding then, and I could work with them again. So it's actually been a blessing for my business, as crazy as it sounds.
Yeah.
I can see that. Yeah, for sure.
I think you're like coming out of COVID. Like it's just like.
Just like,
Yeah.
let's do it.
Do you like sleep?
Yeah, I sleep. I don't have kids, a marriage to worry about, so
Yeah.
I just do it. I feel like I need to do it now so I can enjoy later on.
Yeah, totally. Where can people find you, learn more about what you're doing if they want your services? Where should they go?
Yeah, you can follow Event Daydreaming on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and just reach out to me personally. I'd love to have those initial conversations, even if it's just advice on, different vendors or things like that. I'm definitely open to those conversations too.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Guys, got to go check if you're getting married, doing that type of thing. She's been in the business 2 years. 2 years. She's done over 80 weddings. That means people love her, and she does her job really well. So if you are in need of her services, make sure you hit her up on social or visit your website. So
Yeah,
thank you so
absolutely.
much for visiting us today.
Yeah, thank you so much, you guys.
I think we talked a little earlier about like what would be if someone were to ask what your best quality is. I think obviously I met you 25 minutes ago, 30 minutes ago now, and like it just made me instantly feel warm. There was a connection. I felt like it's very genuine. Honestly, I could imagine as you walk into a wedding event dealing with all these people just feel automatically at ease. And so,
Totally.
I look forward to hopefully attending a wedding
Yeah.
that you're planning.
Or
We
crashing one together.
we can crash one together. Maybe at Chili's one day or
Yes.
something. whatever you want.
Before you leave, we need to like get our calendars aligned. Let's do this.
Let's
thing.
do it.
Absolutely. My daughters, if
Absolutely.
they get married in another like 15 years, I'll be
Yes.
calling you.
Amazing.
So someone you'll have an intern work.
I'm
the wedding
in.
for
Yeah, I
us,
just did a quinceanera the other day, and the mom had texted me and said, like, I need you for their wedding. I'm like, all right, that might be in like 10, 15 years, but I'll save the date.
Pencil it in.
Mark it right now. Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, it's awesome.
All right, so thanks for listening today, everybody. Every community is made up of unique and interesting people. Kayleigh is just another example of that. So until next time, support local, love local, and we are all stronger together.
Peace out, friends.
Awesome.